So good evening and welcome to the Down the Lane podcast. Tonight you've got me, Barry Carpenter. We have Miles and we have Bobby back. So welcome, guys.
Evening.
Thank you.
So following up from Saturday, going to you first, Bobby. 2-1 defeat at Slough. Your thoughts on the game?
I actually thought we were quite poor. I'll touch on that in a minute. I thought we started off well. I think we did, but we started like we did at Tunbridge. We put them under pressure for the first 15 minutes, and we were creating chances, but couldn't put the ball back in the net. And then, luckily, we did through George Alexander with his first goal of the season. Lovely little bit of play by Eastman in the middle, down to the byline and across and in from George. I think George, that's a big goal for George this season. I think obviously with losing Pemi middle of last week, leaving us with George and Mullins up top. I think we might now see George start to click this season. Obviously, he was our top goal scorer last season. And then coming away from obviously George then scoring, we did exactly the same as Tunbridge. We switched off pretty much immediately. Slough were allowed to get a lot more of the ball. They were allowed to dominate our half and get a few corners, which then they scored their first from. Which I thought could be prevented personally. Looking back on it, I think it's a missed kick completely by Harry Phipps, and their centre backs allowed to hammer it in, and then the LA carried we kind of showed a bit of determination and trying to get back in, but we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Grout and Eastman yet again, the two in the middle who were trying to create plays and nothing would come together. And then second half, I think that's when it all went downhill. The back three looked really exposed. We couldn't get a grip of the game. Slough took hold of it, and Slough just looked to go long and hit us. And that's how they scored their second. It was just a long ball, second ball one, and they slammed it home. And then that was pretty much it. I mean, we didn't look like we were going to get back into it. I think it was sort of wouldn't really say it was a smash and grab for Slough, but they definitely did deserve it. So that's my view.
Miles, I mean, I don't think Bobby's left us a lot there, really.
Yeah, Bobby's done a full running commentary, but no, I mean, I agree with a lot of what he said. I feel like it was sort of like a game of the first 30 minutes or so, and then the rest of the game. We started really quick, and that's been a sort of a key theme amongst the games recently. And then I think even in the second half, like we had sort of a strong first 10 minutes. Maybe Tommy's sort of message was sort of landing initially. But once sort of Slough worked out our threats, they quickly neutralised the game and didn't really give us sort of much options, and we didn't really feel like we had a sort of a plan B. Like we started off very well with the sort of wide players getting the ball. Eastman and Grout were running the show really. Like I thought they were our best two players on Saturday. Like Eastman was immense, absolutely everywhere, strong in the challenge, dictating play. And then just Grout just does all the simple stuff really well, like recycling possession, keeping the player alive, transitioning, etc. But once they worked out that it was a weird one because we were trying to put sort of balls in the box for a lot of the game, but we didn't have really any height, and our delivery was just quite weak. And a lot of times, like the wide players would sort of get doubled up on, and they couldn't really beat their men, which led to a lot of our attacks breaking down. So it was just sort of like a really frustrating game because the chance was definitely there to win. But I don't want to be like too down about it. I know obviously every point is crucial at this stage, but I think if someone offered us a couple of wins out of these three away games against Dover and Tunbridge and Slough, I think everyone would have taken it. Like considering Worthing was pretty much like I know it's a derby, but a free hit. No one really expected us to get anything out of that game. So to get 6 from 9 out of the other three teams, we're sort of in and around ish. I think it's sort of a good return.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the expectation, the problem is that when we go and win sort of like we did at Dover, which we won quite well at Dover, and then when we, go and win at Tunbridge, which was obviously a game of 7 goals, and we kind of kept letting them back into it, but then we sort of, I'd say we hung on at the end. I mean, they would definitely, Tunbridge would definitely have the pressure. I think probably the expectation was then that Slough were. Slough were there for the taking. But what we've got to remember is that Slough came off the back of a couple of really good wins. Beating Maidenhead away. I mean, we obviously beat them away in Tommy's first game, but that was kind of like the new manager bounce. But I think something you said there, Miles, that I'm really keen on is the fact that how immense I think Eastman has been in probably the last 6 weeks, 5, 6 weeks. Obviously, Matt signing when he was here, his ex-captain at Sutton. So, you would expect that possibly he would be disappointed and maybe have his head down a little bit that, Matt had gone, because that was obviously the reason he came and signed at the club. But to roll his sleeves up and to do what he's done, in the last sort of the last couple of months, I think he's just been outstanding. And he has definitely been, and I'm not saying that other players haven't. I mean, I think, if we'd have taken Pemi out the side, we would have probably struggled because of the goals that Pemi had scored for us. But I think another one that we would have severely missed is Eastman if he wasn't there. I'm not saying the other players haven't done it, because they have, but he always seems to be probably that leader on the pitch that Tommy keeps saying he needs and he wants. And so, yeah, the game itself, I thought, similar to you guys, we started very quickly. We went at them. And probably for the first, if we looked at the stats after the first 25 minutes, we probably would have been like 75-80% of the possession, because it was just, it was all about us, and it was all about what we could do, and then we just kind of eased off a little bit and we let them back into it. And then second half, again they came at us, and obviously the result in the end was 2-1. So after the game, Miles, you caught up with the Slough supporter Alfie, and here's what he had to say.
So Alfie has finished here at Albert Park, Slough Town 2, Eastbourne 1. What's your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I thought the game went quite well. Obviously, you guys took the lead early on, but then we grew back into the game, got a goal before half-time, gives us momentum to go into the second half and grab the second goal and just hold the game out.
Yeah, you guys have been definitely on a good run. This is your third win now since Christmas. What do you think has changed really since the break? Obviously, you had a away win at Maidenhead, didn't you, and then beat Chesham by 3.
In my opinion, I thought, obviously, us going out in the second round of the FA Cup to Macclesfield, it's kind of a wake-up call to the players. Obviously, we was in the relegation at the time, and if we didn't really sort our form out, we was in trouble of going down.
Yeah, you've definitely been a good run. It's sort of building the gap now. I think it's now 7 points to us. I think you're probably a few clear of the drop as well. It's positive for you guys. So we scored early on. I thought we dominated the game first half an hour. But there was a sort of key incident with just after you scored your first goal. One of your strikers off the corner punched the ball, it looked like. What was your view on that? We didn't really see it too well from where we were.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it too well, but the guy that videos every goal, he's videoed it and he's showed everyone, and he has punched the ball into the net.
Right, so Maradona'd it into the net, right, fair enough. So again, sort of second half, we've been starting half very well. But you made a few changes to sort of see the game out of you. Particularly, I think your wide players were quite threatening as well.
Yeah.
How do you feel second half went in particular?
Yeah, I thought, obviously we got the goal early on in the second half, about 10 minutes into the second half, and I thought we just kind of controlled the game, just seeded the game out, and we looked threatening going forward, but defensively we were solid, especially our keeper keeping us in the game, and then we go on to win the game.
Yeah, that's on the keeper as well. It's a word, Adam Dubois. We nearly signed him, or we did sign him, and then he sort of let go a couple of years ago. How pivotal has he been for you this season?
Yeah, he's been one of our best players, if not the best. He's kept us in games where we shouldn't have got anything from.
Yeah,
and maybe he's the reason why we're out the relegation zone.
Yeah, he's a very good shot stopper, definitely. So moving on for you guys, I believe you're playing away at Chelmsford on Monday. Yeah. Are you going first of all?
Yeah, I'm going.
You're going? Fair play. Yeah. Any hopes for the game at all? Obviously, Chelmsford's not in a great run of form recently.
Chelmsford's not in a great run of form, but there's no easy game in this league.
No.
You see, any team could be on a 5-game loss streak, and then they can come out and win. So there's no easy game. But I'd like us to win, obviously.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well on the win, mate. Thanks for coming on, and take care of yourself.
Thank you, mate.
No worries.
So there you go, Miles. What did you take from your interview there with Alfie?
Yeah, sort of a couple of things really. I think the first one, we potentially have played them at the wrong time, in the sense that they felt like a bit of maybe like a wounded beast after they lost the Macclesfield game in the FA Cup, which would have meant they played Palace actually in the third round. Sometimes FA Cup runs, I think, like a bit like Chelmsford's, they can sort of deflate your season if you rely on it a bit too much and you struggle to get the momentum back in the league. But it seems like it's had the sort of reverse effect, and they've really like kicked on since losing that game. Obviously, beating their rivals with 10 men away from home, which is very impressive. And then they absolutely smashed Chesham at the weekend, so they'll be really like high on confidence. Albeit we've had sort of inconsistent form. But yeah, as Alfie said, they're sort of flying at the moment, and I think a lot of that's sort of down to the confidence that wins get. And it'd just be nice if we could get just sort of a couple of results on the bounce. I think that's what we need. Sort of really lift the group, because we haven't had 2 wins in a row all season. So yeah, that's sort of something for us to sort of focus on going forward. Obviously, points, all you need in this relegation scrap. And then the second thing was just how important that Adam Dubois was for them. We obviously signed him in the season what we transitioned from. We had Murray, didn't we? But it was the season we went from sort of relegation fighters to title contenders. And he was our first choice keeper. And then, as I understand it, he got injured, and then we sort of had to terminate the deal. But yeah, he was absolutely crucial in the game for them. Like, we can talk about us not taking our chances, but there was some really like couple of big saves, particularly off the George header in the second half. Like, everyone thought it was in. I sort of turned around disbelief that he managed to claw it out. So he's like a really, really good keeper, and it's not just his like shot stopping. You can see from like the way he commands defence, drives standards, and like his goal kick was something that I don't think you see like all too regularly in football in general. Like, I think he's up there with, potentially, I haven't seen the data, but like with the Premier League goalkeepers in terms of the distance he can kick the ball. Like, it was the some kick, he'd get it like at least into the like sort of 3/4 length of the pitch, which of a standing ball is so difficult to do. And that was sort of my frustration going back like to us, because we just sort of didn't really like adapt to it. Like, I think a lot of time Slough was sort of putting the ball on our back line, we just weren't really dealing with it. Like, I think in those situations, I'm a defender, if you want to call me that, in six-a-side. So I don't have a lot of pedigree to exactly know what I'm talking about, but I feel like you might need to take a few steps back off those and just give yourself a bit more time. We're sort of quite insistent on playing with the high line and the press, which is obviously great when it works, but every game has to have a different game plan. So yeah, Dubois was sort of crucial to unlocking us, I guess, off these sort of dead balls, like free kicks and goal kicks in his own half. But yeah, it was good to catch up with Alfie and get his sort of take on how it was from the Slough perspective.
Yeah, and I think they've gone on that little run now when there's still that time. I mean, Tommy keeps saying in his interviews, he said on Radio Sussex the other night, that look, it's these teams that end the season with a wet sail, that are always, and we know that from whatever leagues, teams that just claw their way into the playoffs, as in Boreham Wood last year, and then look what they're doing this year, because they've carried that on. And I think, I'm not saying that us or Slough are going to do that, but I think that getting on that little wet sail of a run, and like you say, getting more than one win on the bounce, and I think that's a big thing for us. I think we need to be putting a little run together. We're there, I think, performance wise. I just think it's actually all connecting together. We came back from Dover, and we were astounded by the way we played, because everything just clicked on the day, and we had our 7-0 reverse down at Torquay, came back, and again, I know we was only playing Hampton, but we came back and we beat them 6-0. And I mean, Hampton have won 2 of their last 4, so they're not a bad side, but we just clicked that day. And I think this is the thing now, it's just a matter of clicking and holding that consistency just for, and we hear that from Tommy all the time, right, about the players need to be consistent, they need to make the right choices. We now move on to run of games, I think, that I would say we could put a little run together. We start off with Horsham tomorrow. Your thoughts on that, Miles?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Because if you'd asked me a month ago, am I confident for a game as Horsham? I'd have said absolutely not. But they've had a few poor results in a row. I think since Christmas they haven't won. I think they've had four games without a win. So potentially a good time to play them, but it sort of goes both ways, right? You could sort of spin it that they may want to prove a point, especially in a game against Sussex opponent like us, and they caused us quite a few problems in the away game. Obviously, is under a different manager, but they were definitely the better side that day. From what I remember from the 2-0 loss. So yeah, it'd be a really difficult game, and it'll be interesting to see how we can get on with the sort of dynamic of having a lot of players that have sort of played against us, and they've got a lot of experience with our club. So likes of Jake Elliott, Hammond, and Lure. Whether they'll turn up against us or we'll have our number. So I can't really call it, to be honest. I'll come off my prediction. I don't really know how it will go. To be honest with you, but Bob, you got any thoughts on that at all?
I mean, just looking at who they've played against Chesham, Dorking, Farnborough, and Maidenhead, and you can argue that maybe two of those games are hard opposition. Chesham, as we know, can be a tough opposition to play. Dorking, obviously, under Mark White, obviously high flying football and definitely title challenge. But you look at Farnborough and Maidenhead for Horsham, they're games that they probably shouldn't be losing. Obviously, Maidenhead obviously without a manager, and Farnborough are also down at the bottom of us. So it's definitely a rough spot. It's definitely maybe the right time, as Barry said, for us to play Horsham. So I think it's one that Tommy will be looking at and thinking that we can definitely get a result out of. And I think too it would be nice to get 3 points back on a Tuesday with us having a break in the league on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think you're right there. I mean, I fancy that. The players that were involved in the reverse, I still, going back to that game away at Horsham, I thought we were ultra poor that night, and I think I made the comment a couple of times that it was probably the worst I'd seen Borough play in a quite a number of years. I know, Bobby, you were saying there about Maidenhead that, without a manager, they should have beaten them. But I mean, Maidenhead are currently second in the form table, and the only loss they've had recently is against Slough. So Maidenhead's not an easy game, but I think we owe Horsham one tomorrow. I think we all know the bounce that Tommy seems to get after a disappointing result, or at least after a result when he comes out in the interview and says that he's spelled out to the players in no uncertain terms what they need, like he did after the Torquay game, and we bounced back. So I think there's a result there tomorrow. I think we can get a result. I think George is obviously going to be very hungry. I know he's been injured this year, but he hasn't really had much of a chance to get a run because of what Penny was doing. I mean, at the end of the day, anyone who's got a striker in the squad that's going to score 20 before the turn of the year, in League and Cup, I think, he's always going to be probably one of the first names on the team sheet. So now George can be hungry to get that position back for himself. He obviously knows that the club are looking at bringing some numbers in this week and through the window. And Tommy said on radio the other night that if they're not in for the Horsham game, then he would expect them to be in for the next league game. So that's gonna if you're a football player, that's gonna make you think as well, make you think, hang on a minute, he's bringing someone in for my position, let me stake that claim for that position, so that even if he brings somebody in, I can't actually let him put him in the team because I'm playing so well. So and I think there's got to be a few players out there that need to be thinking like that at the moment. I think I wouldn't say that all of Tommy's recruits have been perfect every game. But they've definitely showed capabilities of where we need to be going, as a club. So obviously we couldn't get a Horsham fan on tonight. No one put themselves forward. So you've already sort of given us a few players. Where do you see the dangers, Miles, in Horsham tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the sort of main threats, and one we know quite well is obviously Gibraltar. Particularly as we didn't really defend wide players too well against Slough. I mean, personally, I said this to a couple of people on Saturday. I'd like to see us play one defensive wing back and one offensive wing back. So, for example, not saying it would be this combination, but Lintott and Davis, for example. Because I just feel like when we have Josh and Davis, obviously they're a threat going forward, but they work hard going back. But it's different having like a defensive wing back there to provide some solidity, and then if you need to sort of slip into a back four, everyone can sort of shift along one, on the ball if necessary too. I think dealing with Garata will be a big issue for us. He did score against us last year as well, didn't he, for Chippenham? So yeah, he'll be one to watch out for, of course. And then I think it's Meekums, one of their decent little midfielders. He's always a threat. Reece Meekums, yeah, he's always a threat. And I'm a bit worried about our sort of central midfield area, not in the sense of the players we've got there, because I feel like they're as I said, our best performance on Saturday. It's just the depth of keep having to rely on them. Obviously, we're not going to have a game on Saturday, but Saturday, Tuesday, as it were. With young Grout, he's 17. He's done very well this season, but you can't keep relying on a 17-year-old. I know he said this for a while now, so maybe he'll just keep going. But at some point you feel like the energy levels are going to dip, or he's going to need a rest. And then Eastman's, who I just want to sort of add to what you said earlier, Barry. Like I've loved how Eastman's applied himself in the last couple of months. Because I think it'd have been really easy for him to not to like down tools. He's a professional at the end of the day. Like he's going to have a certain integrity to himself to want to play well. But seeing how much he cared with the win at Tunbridge, and even with he's had his captaincy taken off him as well. Noticed Phipps been our captain for a good few games now, which could have easily sort of demotivated him or not want to play for Tommy. But I think it's sort of like the opposite. He's really kicked on. So he's been mega impressive. But yeah, let's go back to my point. We sort of can't keep relying on a 33, 34-year-old Eastman. Not sure how old he is, but we've seen he's had injury troubles and can't play. Sort of 90 every week with it Saturday, Tuesday, and then Grouch young. So that's realistically all we've got in centre midfield. I know we've signed the 21-year-old Matthias Roberts, but he's not going to be able to start. Like he's only had 20 minutes on Saturday and he hasn't played. So. I'm sort of concerned about our depth there, and I'm sure it's something they're looking at. But how long do we sort of keep waiting? Because the more you wait, the more the points start sort of going amiss, sort of thing. And we've got a lot of games coming up, maybe other than Hornchurch, where we need to be getting 3 points. It's not like a must. I hate saying must win. I said in the car on the way back, I just can't. I don't like saying must win unless it actually means a must win. But it's a sort of game that's crucial to our season, like the likes of Farnborough at home, Enfield at home. We've got to be getting 3 points from those. So it is a concern. And Horsham's midfield is particularly good. Obviously, Hammond's had a great season so far. He's been consistent for many years now. He's one I'd like to have kept, to be honest with you, from the transition from part time to full time. I know obviously his commitments probably mean otherwise, but he was one of our better players in that Bloor squad. So yeah, they're the danger, and they're just sort of a good, well-oiled machine, Horsham, aren't they? You sort of know what you're going to get from them, albeit they've had a bad turn of form recently. But as we said, I think they've had a couple of tough opponents in there. So this is a well drilled, experienced side, know how to win. Obviously won the league below last year too, so it's not going to be easy whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think we were saying earlier about getting a run of games together. And you're saying that we've got some winnable games coming up. I mean, Hornchurch have only won 2 out of their last 6, and been beaten 3 times. So, they've had a great run. Hornchurch obviously been up there, and they're up there still. But there comes a time where all these teams falter, don't they? It was like the year Leicester won the Premier League. Everyone was turning around saying, "Oh, it can't go on, it can't go on, it can't go on," and it just did.
It can.
But
Sorry.
you've got teams there. I think that out of the next 4 games, we could look at a number of points, and points that will claw us right back in, but also claw some of them other teams, pull them back into the fight down at the bottom there. And so I think the next few weeks are very, very decisive. I think we need to make sure that we recruit well, which obviously, since Tommy's come in, he keeps talking about bringing players in, and they've come in slowly, and I actually like the fact that they're coming in slowly, because it means that the research is being done on them players. We're not just grabbing anybody. We know we've done that before. When we've had players signed for us and they played a couple of games and then gone. Where are they? And they're not at the club anymore. And I'm glad we're not kind of doing that this year. I'm glad we're kind of, Tommy's looking at the players that we need, that he needs, that he wants, in order to fill them roles. So obviously we haven't got a game Saturday now. This is Saturday's game brought forward to tomorrow or today if this doesn't come out till Tuesday. So let's go with some predictions. Bobby, your prediction?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm stuck in 2 minds. I'm stuck between a draw and a win. I think, someone said, Horsham are a well-oiled machine. You know what we're going to get out of them. They'll be looking for a win as well, and we'll be looking for a win as well. We're both back of losses. They're off back of obviously 4 without win. But it's just really hard to determine. I want to say a 2-1 win, but I also want to say a 2-2 draw. So I'm in the middle. I mean, I don't really have a prediction, so I hate to be a bummer, but I don't actually have a prediction.
Go on, we'll let you have 2 predictions this week then, 2-1 and 2-2. Miles, yourself?
What a cop out from Bob, honestly. Shambles. Make your mind up, son.
Make your mind up.
But on a serious note, it is hard to call this one. I can sort of see any outcome. I think I've said that a few times. But I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going for a 2-1 us. I think we'll probably make hard work of it, but I don't know. I've got a good feeling. But yeah, you never know.
Well, I'm going to be a bit more optimistic than you, Miles. I'm going to go for 4-0. I'm going to go for a 4-0 Borough win.
No,
right.
Stop
No.
the recording. Stop the
Sorry.
recording. Edit it out. If we win 4-0, that is mental.
No, you
Me
weren't going to
and
say
Bob are
that.
still
Carry on.
scarred. We're still scarred from the FA Cup game we had against them.
Oh God! Don't James Ferry. Remember the name.
Yeah.
So my thinking is that I think we start quick. And I just hope that we can get the ball in the back of the net a couple of times early. We always seem to do that under Tommy, and then that'll give us the momentum to carry on. And also, Horsham heads will obviously drop a little bit, if they're 2 down. So that's my thinking, and then we just capitalise towards the end. So yeah, I actually feel confident going into tomorrow. The one thing I'm ultra confident about is it is going to be absolutely freezing. It's real cold out there at the moment. So that's another thing that we know how cold it gets down the lane where it's so open there. So yeah, cold nights.
If we win 4-0 tomorrow, Barry, I'll give you 50 quid, and I'll say it on camera. If we win 4-0 tomorrow, I'll give you 50. I'll give you both 50 quid.
Why do I get
Miles.
50 quid?
I don't know, Miles. Just accept it, though, right, Bob? You're gonna have to be
We're not
working
winning
some
from that
overtime, my
confident.
friend.
I'll put money on the line. We're not winning 4-0.
Oh, do you know what? I just hope it's 3-0 now and we get a penalty with like 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Just see Bobby's face running around. Please don't score.
Bob will be behind the goal like this.
Yeah.
No.
Money.
But right, so guys, there's our predictions. We'll see you down the lane either tomorrow or tonight. Wrap up warm. It's going to be a cold one. So, guys, see you later. Thanks for tonight, Miles.
No problem at all. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
share.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share it, and all that. Thanks for tonight, Bob.
No worries.
And we will see you all down the lane when we beat Horsham 4-0, which is going to cost Bobby £100.